Hello, beautiful people. Today we're going to speak about active procrastination, or the action of not doing, or doing what you're not supposed to, or not doing maybe, like not starting this episode right away. I think we're all guilty of it, because active procrastination is not necessarily about doing nothing. Sometimes it's about doing too much, so you don't get to do what you have to do. And in that sense, I think all of us almost fall on one or the other of, that side at some point in our life towards certain tasks, where we don't feel like doing them, or we're unsure, and we don't know how to go about it, and instead of doing it and being creative and finding ways and pushing forward and making something, we decide to either do something else that we have to do no matter what, and that's our excuse, or we decide to do what I would call more nothing, just nothing. So in that sense, it's really about focusing yourself. It's important to know where your focus is and to expend your energy where they're going to serve you the most. Always being busy can potentially be an excuse. You could be very busy for a long period of time where you don't have the time to actually do another project or do what you want to do. And that is acceptable. But in that situation, you should be able to recognize that the situation itself is what it is. And you should be able to say, right now I'm very busy. So it's not even as much as an excuse as much as you're going to say, I'm not going to take care of that at all because I'm going to wait for this busy segment that ends in a week or in a month, or maybe you have exams coming, maybe you have to prepare a report, and once that's done you're like, then it's going to be back and I'm going to have time and be able to focus. So that aspect is fine. But there is also something where you're always going to be busy but not really doing anything productive. I'm going to re-clean the house instead of working on that project. I'm going to do something that is meaningless, that doesn't bring a lot of things. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's good to sit down and watch a stupid TV show and just relax and turn off your brain a bit. But it shouldn't be the only thing you do, and it shouldn't be the excuse for not doing certain things. Now, keeping yourself busy could be a sign that you're uncomfortable with either the creative process or the releasing process of what you have into the public. Now, being uncomfortable when you do something new, when you try something innovative, is somewhat normal. It's an unknown, and as a lot of unknown, even if it can be interesting to look at and you want to go into it, it can be a bit, uncomfortable. You can be worried about it because there is a few elements that could be moving that you don't control, that you don't know, and maybe it's gonna fail, and that's fine, because if you learn from it, if you can grow from it, then it's a learning experience. And to me, that's not the end of all failure. That's just part of the process of being creative and creating things. Now, between being busy, whether it's valid or not, whether you're uncomfortable, all of those different aspects can easily create a feedback loop into yourself. So you say you're going to do something. You give yourself, the personal task of, I want to do this for me, and this is important, and I'm going to do it. And you don't get to do it because you got busy, and let's say it's genuine, and you say, okay, after that I'll do it. And then after that, you're a bit insecure just because, it's something new that you're trying to do, and you don't know everything about it. So you don't do it. You go to another task. And you keep saying you're going to do it, and you keep pushing it. And the issue with that is that you're creating a loop where basically you're setting yourself up and you're always failing. But in reality, you're failing at starting it. You're not failing at the project or at learning. While you're doing this, what you should do, especially if you can notice that you're doing this, is figure out that you've stuck yourself in a loop and try to understand if it's because you're insecure about something, if it's because you're always busy, if it's because you're uncertain on how to do certain elements. And that may help you focus your mind and your energy into figuring out that little thing and then pushing past it and saying, you know what, it's good enough, I'll see the feedback I'll get and I'll grow from there and I will learn, and that's fine. Another problem for your idea is to have too many ideas. As simple as that. what is going to happen is that you will dilute yourself, your resources, your brain power, your brain bandwidth, which means everything's gonna take more time, there will be more place for doubts, for questioning, because you will look into too many things, and that's not a good way to do things. You should understand your own resources mentally, physically, and timeline-wise, how much time do you have in the day to spend on that project. And then you should try to focus on it and commit time to it so that you can move forward. Saying that you have 2,000 projects but never the time to work on any because you have to think about 2,000 projects is not very helpful for you to move forward. Whereas if you say, I have a dozen ideas but I'm focusing on 1 or 2 right now, well, that's a way better approach to it, because that's going to allow you to put some effort and some resources into it. And for anything to get anywhere, it needs resources, it needs your time, it needs your brain power. So watch out for that. It's easy to have a lot of good ideas and not to know what to start with and to think about so many things. Maybe sometimes it's good just to pick one and to run with it. And the good thing about having so many ideas is that if this one doesn't work, well, you can try the next one and you can learn and get the experience from the first one and apply it to the next one. So it's not lost time. Every time you can learn, it's not lost time. You're moving forward. And you should be happy about that. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. In the last 2 episodes, we've looked at the pitfall. In the next 2, we're going to start to look more at the solution. In the next one specifically, we're going to look at making peace with the imperfect and how you can get around your mind and actually start to move forward.